guys like Lamont Roach away from him, able to counterpunch himself rather than being countered.
Traps, and he's got ridiculous one-punch knockout power too. He's just such an interesting fighter because his style is so different from everybody else. He's so conservative in the early rounds. I'm a giant Gervonta fan. I think that guy's so unusual. His style's so unusual, and his patience.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician, Mexican style, and the fight was very close before Tank stopped him. But he has that power that can end it.
He finds these openings and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient.
Joe Rogan has just made some big statements about Gervonta "Tank" Davis' fighting style ahead of his upcoming matchup with Lamont Roach. Meanwhile, Regis Prograis recently shared his thoughts on a possible fight between Tank and himself, highlighting a key factor that could play a role: Tank's ability to control the distance during a fight. Prograis pointed out that Tank has used this tactic successfully in the past, especially in his bout against Isaac Pitbull Cruz, where he kept Cruz at a distance. Prograis believes that Tank's control over the range could make for a very close and competitive fight, sparking a lot of debate over who actually won, just like what happened in the Cruz fight. He added that Tank's style might leave fans questioning the decision, making the outcome even more controversial.
I feel a distance. I feel Tank distance. Yeah, I feel Tank, but distance in a controversial fight. How about that? Tank distance and people in a controversial one. You know, something like kind of like how Pitbull was. Like
You see Roach come in.
Sean Porter believes that once Lamont Roach gets hit with a big shot, he's likely going to be knocked out, suggesting the fight may not last long after Roach takes a significant hit. However, Porter also acknowledges that Roach has been hit before, and if he manages to stay on his feet, the fight could become more competitive. While Porter thinks there are better matchups for Gervonta Tank Davis, he still sees this fight as an interesting one to watch.
Don't matter, when he get hit, he going to sleep. Just wait for it. This might be a fight until he gets hit. And again, he's tasted that before. So if he gets hit and he doesn't go away, we got a fighter on our hands, you know? I think it's a good fight. I think that there's better fights for Tank Davis, but this is a good fight.
In the canvas, and he doesn't want to pass that mark. That's not his nature to.
Who's a southpaw.
Trainer Barry Hunter believes that Gervonta Tank Davis is one of the top stars in boxing, alongside Canelo Alvarez. This, according to Hunter, is what makes the upcoming fight so exciting and worth watching.
Tank is one of the faces of boxing, along with Canelo Alvarez. It would be huge to knock one of them faces off that Mount Rushmore.
He also pointed out that Tank has no intention of losing, and this strong mindset is only going to increase the excitement and anticipation for the upcoming fight.
I hate losing. I know Tank hate losing. Lamont damn sure don't want to lose, so it's going to make for a good fight, man.
Gervonta Tank Davis is working hard in his training camp as he prepares for his fight with Lamont Roach Jr. His training includes rigorous sparring sessions, strength workouts, and speed drills. Davis is focused on sharpening his skills, improving his footwork, and increasing his explosive power to ensure he delivers a commanding performance in the ring.
God damn.
Tough to win without a jab.
In speaking with Joel Diaz, he said,
Joe Rogan is really impressed by Gervonta Tank Davis' fighting style, seeing him as a truly unique fighter with incredible patience. Tank doesn't rush into action, even when he spots an opening. Instead, he waits for the perfect moment to strike. Rogan points out that in preparation for his fight with Lamont Roach Jr., Tank is focusing on improving his skills and fine-tuning his timing. Even though Tank may not throw many punches in the early rounds, his confidence in his knockout power is unmatched. Rogan admires how calm and composed Tank remains, knowing that his power can change the outcome of the fight in an instant.
A giant Gervonta fan. I think that guy's so unusual. His style's so unusual, and his patience.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician, Mexican style, and the fight was very close before Tank stopped him. But he has that power that can end it.
He finds these openings and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient. Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he probably has has the lowest punch count in the early round, but he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence.
Sparring, I saw him generating power, turning over his shoulder, but here...
Brian Norman shared his thoughts on Gervonta "Tank" Davis's career, expressing some confusion about Tank's choice of opponent. Norman questioned why Tank decided to fight Lamont Roach, a skilled fighter who competes at 138 pounds. He pointed out that Tank had other options for opponents but chose to bring Roach up from a lower weight class instead. Norman was puzzled by Tank's decision, wondering why he picked Roach, especially since he hadn't done enough to earn a shot at such a big fight.
That seemed like Tank, his whole career, what he been doing was he always asked, why should I fight this guy? Why should I fight that guy? But then he go fight somebody else, and now I can ask a question on why did you fight him? For example, Lamont Roach, he a great fighter, but he had 130, I believe. Why you fighting him? Like, you could have fought Shakur, you could have fought anybody else, but you fought a guy from 130 and just brought him up and just say, yeah, he the one, he deserve a fight. Why? He didn't do anything. So, I don't know what's up.
Teofimo Lopez shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach Jr., noting that the two have a long history together, having grown up near each other in Washington, D.C. Lopez pointed out that they faced each other in the amateurs and have likely sparred before, giving them a solid understanding of each other's fighting styles. He believes the fight could be exciting, but only if Tank allows it to be a competitive match.
Yeah, history, you gotta love it. What do you think about Tank versus, obviously...
Oh, Roach?
Yeah, Roach.
Well, they've known each other for so long now, you know, they grew up nearby in DC, and I think overall, I think it's gonna be a good fight for as long as Tank wants it to.
Him generating power, turning over his shoulder, but here he hasn't been able to work that out.
Zab Judah strongly showed his support for Gervonta "Tank" Davis, calling him his guy. He praised Tank's southpaw style, incredible power, and strong boxing skills. Judah mentioned that Tank is currently deep into training camp, putting in the work to prepare for the fight. He's confident that Tank will deliver a flawless performance and come out with a win, looking impressive along the way. Judah also expressed excitement about what's next for Tank after the fight.
He's in training camp right now, he's putting that work in, and I expect for him to be flawless. I expect for him to win the fight and look good, and and let's see whatever happens next. You know what I'm saying? So.
What do you think about comments of Kenny thinking that Lamont is the more competitive fight than Devin Haney?
I mean, that's an opinionated comment. You know what I'm saying?
Lamont Roach Jr. shared his determined mindset as he prepared for his fight with Gervonta "Tank" Davis. He explained that his goal is always to prove he's the best. Roach recognized how important it is to beat Tank, a pay-per-view star and knockout expert, knowing that such a victory would be a major boost to his career. He emphasized that winning this fight would not only raise his profile, but also establish him as a serious contender in the world of boxing.
My vision, is tunnel, no matter who on the other side of the ring. I always want to prove that I'm the best. Obviously, it's more intense. You got to think of the upside. He's supposed to be one of the faces of boxing. He is a pay-per-view superstar. He is a knockout artist. He got all this upside. Imagine when I win.
Yeah. That's that shit talk I need to hear.
Now, hear me. Now my stock is here, and they gonna be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? So that's for me.
And he's also being tamed by the body work and the power.
And we're reminded that
in another podcast, Joe Rogan expressed how amazed he is by Gervonta "Tank" Davis's fighting style, calling him such an interesting and unique fighter. Rogan explained how Tank sets traps, luring his opponents in with his patience. He highlighted Tank's incredible one-punch knockout power, noting that in the early rounds, Tank is conservative, throwing only a few punches. He lets his opponents work, but they're always cautious of his power. Rogan pointed out that Tank carefully moves in, waiting for the perfect opening, and when he finds it, he strikes with incredible precision. His style stands out from everyone else's, making him a truly captivating fighter to watch.
Sets traps, and he's got ridiculous one-punch knockout power, too. He's just such an interesting fighter because his style is so different from everybody else. He's so conservative in the early rounds, throws so few punches, and he lets you work. He lets you work, and you're backing up, and you're always afraid of that power, and he's just moving in, trying to find that opening. where he just gets in there.
Coach Bullitt is confident in Gervonta "Tank" Davis' skills, believing that no one can defeat him unless they truly present a real challenge. He pointed out Tank's extensive experience and high boxing IQ, stressing that no opponent has ever made him feel pressured or scared. Regarding the upcoming fight with Lamont Roach Jr., Bullitt mentioned that while Tank has the ability to do serious damage to Roach if he stays focused, top fighters sometimes struggle to find motivation for certain matchups. However, Bullitt added that if Roach talks trash, it could spark Tank's competitive spirit, leading to a more exciting and competitive fight.
He doesn't have a chance. Tank is a very experienced, high IQ. You know, the only person that could have beat Tank was Rolly. I keep telling people that. Nobody's going to beat him because they don't bring nothing to the table to make him scared, to puzzle him, to make him, panic or open his eyes like a deer in headlights. So this fight with Roach, I mean, it's Tank selling the fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody saying, hey, but it's boxing. I'm gonna give you 1,000. If Tank could get himself up to really fight this kid properly, he could really hurt him bad. But sometimes a good fighter, it's hard for him to get up for certain fights, and that's what I see in boxing a lot of time for many years. So I'm glad Roach is talking some mess to him, so maybe he'll put a little fire. That's what we see.
Was on top of it. 2 minutes left. Lamont Roach.
Al Bernstein shared his thoughts on Lamont Roach Jr.'s upcoming fight with Gervonta "Tank" Davis. While he acknowledges that Roach is a skilled fighter, he doesn't believe Roach will be able to compete with Davis. Bernstein pointed out that Roach is moving up in weight, and despite winning a title at a lower weight, there's nothing in his past that suggests he can beat Tank. He emphasized that this isn't meant to be a knock on Roach, who has had a solid career and was once considered a strong prospect. However, Bernstein finds it hard to imagine Roach defeating Tank.
Roach is coming up in weight. He came up in weight I don't see him. He's a good fighter, but I don't see. He's nothing in his past tells me he's going to beat Gervonta Davis or even be competitive with him. And I'm not. It's not a denigration of Lamont Roach. He's a good fighter. He won a title at a lower weight, and that was a surprise to some people that he did get, even though he was a good prospect. So it's just hard to imagine him beating Davis.
Bozy Ennis shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach Jr., calling it a good matchup. While he acknowledged that the fight would be exciting, Ennis leaned toward Tank as the likely winner. He believes Tank's skill and power would give him the advantage in the bout.
I think it'd be a good fight, man. Him and Tank. I think it'd be a real good fight, man. You know what I mean? I think I would have to go with Tank, though. I would have to go with Tank. You know what I mean? But I think it's a real good fight. You know what I mean?
He can't find his rhythm. Yeah, very difficult opponent.
Greg Hackett shared his thoughts on Lamont Roach Jr.'s chances against Gervonta "Tank" Davis, suggesting that Roach's best chance for success would be to cut off the ring and prevent Tank from landing his powerful shots. Hackett advised Roach to stay close to Tank when the opportunity arises, keep a strong jab going, and stay focused throughout the fight. He also warned Roach not to get too aggressive, as overcommitting could lead to mistakes that Tank would take advantage of. While acknowledging how tough the fight will be, Hackett reminded everyone that any fighter can win on any given day, making the outcome unpredictable.
I mean, for him to really beat Tank, he gonna have to cut Tank off. He can't let him develop those moments of power, like when he generates his power. When he got to catch him while he's trying to tweak the power, and not catch him as in getting a shot off, but he got to smother him at times. He got to stay behind a good jab, and he got to be sturdy, man. He just got to be with it. Can't fall asleep in the ring, and you can't try to get too much and be greedy because you can get caught in between some shit. It's a lot he got to do in there to get the win, but like you said, any man can get the win.
Jermaine Ortiz shared his thoughts on Gervonta "Tank" Davis' upcoming fight, acknowledging Tank's knockout power, but pointing out that his punch output isn't particularly high. Ortiz noted that this time, Davis is facing an opponent of similar height, which could make the fight more competitive. He compared it to Tank's previous bout with Pitbull Cruz, where Tank tried to box, and the fight ended up being closer than many expected. Ortiz believes that if Tank tries to box against Lamont Roach Jr., he may not have as much success. Instead, he advises Tank to stick with his usual strategy of applying pressure and walking Roach down, just as he does with taller opponents.
We'll see. I just think that Davis really got that knockout power. He doesn't have a lot of output. He's fighting somebody who's closer to his height. I think it would be more of a fight. I think the last time he fought somebody shorter than him was Pitbull, and he tried to box him and he came out. A lot of people didn't like that fight in the sense of, I assume people thought Pitbull won the fight or it was just a closer fight. I don't think, we'll see how Davis goes. I don't think he will do as good if he tries to box him by just, being on his back foot. I think Davis should just do what he does with the bigger guys and walk him down.
And I'll say one last thing about Jamel Herring. He can't take what he's given tonight.
Lenny Wilson shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight between Lamont Roach Jr. and Gervonta "Tank" Davis. He suggested that if Roach has a strong chin, the fight could potentially go the full distance. However, if Roach struggles to withstand Tank's power, Wilson believes that Davis will likely score a knockout. Based on his experience watching both fighters in the ring and training, Wilson said that if he had to place a bet, he would put his money on Tank.
So I think that's, if Lamont Roach got a good chin, you dig it, then it could go the distance. If he don't, Tank is gonna put him out. But it can also go the distance because Tank know how to box too. I've watched him in the ring. I've watched him in the gym. I see what he can do. You understand? So, but if I had to bet my money, I'd bet my money on Tank.
Oscar De La Hoya acknowledged that Lamont Roach is a talented fighter, but he expressed concerns that Roach might be outmatched against Gervonta "Tank" Davis. He praised Tank's impressive skills, calling him a beast who is fully dedicated to his training and always enters the ring in peak physical condition. De La Hoya admitted that the fight would be tough for Roach, but emphasized that Tank's experience and commitment to the sport give him a clear edge.
No, I think Lamont Roach is a terrific fighter. He might be a little over his head with Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is, to say the least, he's a beast. He really is. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a dedicated fighter when it comes to training and fighting and making sure that he's in optimal conditions when he steps inside that squared circle.
Once you start finding the mark, then that's when you start being able to land your combinations.
Calvin Ford talked about the long history between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach, pointing out their connection from the amateur Silver Gloves days. He believes this deep familiarity will make for an intriguing fight, as Roach always brings his best to the ring. Ford defended the matchup, even though some critics have questioned it, stressing that it's a valuable opportunity for both fighters and for the community. He also praised Roach for stepping up to the challenge and assured fans that the fight will be one to watch.
Oh man, they've been knowing each other from the amateurs, Silver Gloves, everything. They grew up actually together, Roach and him back and forth battles and whatnot. It's going to be a pretty interesting fight, you know what I'm saying? Because Roach he come to fight. And I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about, why Roach? Because he signed and took the fight, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for the community.
Robert Diaz shared his thoughts on Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach's upcoming fight, noting that Davis is fully aware of the challenge ahead, especially due to his past connection with Roach. Diaz believes that both fighters have a genuine respect for each other, which makes this match even more interesting. He predicts that the early rounds will be tactical, with both fighters staying cautious and strategic. However, as the fight progresses, Diaz expects things to heat up and turn into a more intense battle. He feels that Davis's skills will definitely be tested, and if both boxers remain disciplined, the later rounds of the fight will be filled with excitement.
But right now I see Tank is going to come in knowing what he has in front of him this time because they know each other. There's a history. Tank respects him. I really believe he respects him. And Lamont for sure does. So I think it'll be a very good strategic fight in the first half, and then it could turn into a real fight in the second half. If everything works out right, we're going to see outboxing of Tank.
Never felt that way before, but Tim, you're a big proponent of a guy.
Stephen A. Smith shared his opinion on Lamont Roach's upcoming fight, stating that he feels Roach may be too small to handle Gervonta "Tank" Davis. While he acknowledged Roach's skill, Smith compared the situation to Tank's fight with Frank Martin. He predicted that Tank would come out strong and aggressive, and that's exactly what happened. Tank wasted no time and started attacking right from the very first round.
I think Roach is too small. I think Roach is too small. And that's my issue. I'm not questioning the skill set or anything like that. But it was similar to Frank Martin. You know what I mean? This guy comes in there and you got 18 fights. And I remember watching that pre-fight press conference when he was annoying Gervonta Davis so much and he cussed by accident. excuse me, he cussed by accident. He was like, "Ooh, you know, making this up. He hurt me and sparring, and you know, and I knew Gervonta was gonna come for him, and sure enough, that's what he did. Walked right towards him from round one on."
Clarissa Shields recognized Lamont Roach's strong amateur background and his skill as a fighter, even though he's sometimes overlooked. She also praised Gervonta "Tank" Davis, calling him both tough and talented, and pointed out the mutual respect between them for the sport of boxing. Shields mentioned that she'd definitely be buying the pay-per-view, looking forward to seeing Tank's power and the technical skills on display from both fighters.
Tank and Lamont Roach. Is that the right opponent for Tank?
I don't know why everybody is kind of sleeping on Lamont, but he has a decorated amateur career too. He's a very sturdy kid. He's very skilled. Tank is Tank, you know. And when I say Tank is Tank, I mean like he's a bad man. He can fight. He's tough. I know we had our dispute back and forth, whatever. But at the end of the day, if we talk about just boxing, so he's a good fighter, and I look forward to watching that fight.
Is this a pay-per-view fight though? Would you buy it?
I bought any fight that Tank has had pay-per-view, and I think that Lamont Roach is worth watching. I think that this fight is going to be very technical, very skillful. As always, we're going to see the power of Tank on display.
When it's a normal ring walk from your opponent and you're the challenger, it was a 5-minute wait.
Clarissa Shields spoke about her long history with Lamont Roach, sharing that they go way back to their amateur days. She described him as a great person who wished her good luck before one of her own fights. When asked about possible strategies for Roach in his matchup against Gervonta "Tank" Davis, Shields playfully refused to give any advice, joking that if she shared her plan, she'd make a great trainer. She made it clear that she stays loyal to her own approach and wasn't about to give away any secrets.
And Lamont Roach, do you have a relationship with him?
I know him from the amateurs too. He cool. He can fight. He wished me luck on my fight. Hey, let the best man win there.
If he's to be successful, how would he do that?
To be Tank?
Yeah.
Now you want me to give somebody the game plan on how to be Tank?
Dude, you'll be a great trainer because you have the skill.
Don't like me, so I ain't gonna get nobody the recipe to beat him. So you can thank me later, my nigga.
Mikey Garcia spoke highly of Gervonta "Tank" Davis, calling him an incredibly skilled, talented, and experienced fighter. Garcia pointed out that Tank has faced almost every type of opponent and possesses impressive knockout power. He also praised Tank's strong confidence and presence, which makes him a tough competitor to bet against. While Garcia has a lot of respect for Lamont Roach, he believes Tank will most likely come out victorious given his consistent success in every fight.
Roach will be a huge threat for Tank. Tank is very talented, very skilled, and also very experienced at this point now. He's fought and seen pretty much every style there is, and his power is tremendous, where he has that knockout punching power, and he's got the confidence to do it, and you just see his demeanor. He's just confident. He knows he's gonna, go out there and execute, and so it's hard to go against Tank. Again, not to disrespect his opponent Roach, but I think Tank is a beast, and he's been proving it every fight. He probably will win this fight as well. Again, it's hard to say and go against Tank. He's proven himself.
What are your thoughts on Gervonta "Tank" Davis? We'd love to hear what you think. Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.